Welcome to Ping Pong Dreams, where each rally echoes not just across the table, but deep into the heart. Here we just tell stories of medals or triumphs. We share the dreams born in childhood, the silent breakdowns beneath stadium lights, and the moments when someone rises, not because they're the strongest, but because they simply refuse to stop. Each episode is a journey, a real person, a heart that once burned wholly for this small spinning ball, table tennis. And today, I invite you into the story of a girl whose tears and smile became part of a nation's childhood, a prodigy who became a symbol, an athlete, a mother, a warrior who faced glory and storms alike. This is Ai Fukuhara, from child prodigy to national treasure. Forever tied to Japan's collective memory, a story of tears, joy, and the extraordinary journey of a girl who carried a nation's dream since the age of 3. Ai Fukuhara is not a table tennis player. She is a part of collective memory, a cultural phenomenon, a small girl who once carried the hopes of an entire nation. For more than 2 decades, Fukuhara didn't just compete. She grew up in the public eye, from a child who cried after every loss to a woman strong enough to face critics, defeat, and the storms of life. In 1988, in Sendai, a peaceful city in Miyagi Prefecture, a baby girl was born into a sports-loving family. Her mother, Chio Fukuhara, a grassroots table tennis coach, saw something extraordinary in her daughter's fascination with the spinning white ball. While other toddlers were learning to hold pencils, Ai was learning to swing a racket. By age 3, she could serve the ball over the net. At 5, she was playing matches with adults. And that same year, Japan was introduced to Ai-chan, an adorable, determined little girl who sobbed every time she lost, but never once gave up. Ai didn't just play table tennis, she lived it. Every emotion was raw, every victory or loss felt with her whole being. Japanese TV aired videos of the tiny girl with tearful cheeks and fiery eyes. Her honest reactions touched millions. She became a national sweetheart before she even entered grade school. But behind the tears was an unusual childhood. While other kids played outside, Ai spent hours in a cramped training room under her mother's watchful eye. Repeating serve after serve, gripping a racket bigger than her wrist, she was raised on discipline and dreams. Once, when she was 4, she dropped her racket and burst into tears. Her mother didn't rush to comfort her. Instead, she calmly said, "If you want to play table tennis, tears won't help." From that day, Ai tried her best not to cry during training, but every time she lost a match, she couldn't hold back, not from shame, but from fear that she'd disappointed her mother. Even as a 5-year-old, she carried the weight of responsibility on her small shoulders. At age 10, Ai was already defeating adult professionals. At 11, she joined Japan's national team. And at just 15, she made her Olympic debut at Athens 2004, the youngest female table tennis Olympian in Japan's history. When she stepped into that arena, still only a teenager, she carried not just a paddle, but a nation's expectations. Yet early fame is a double-edged sword. Ai was no longer just a girl. Every move she made, every tear she shed, every match she lost was dissected, criticized, judged. People stopped just loving her. They began demanding things from her. Wins, trophies, greatness. But in the early years of her career, Ai struggled, especially against the towering dominance of Chinese stars like Wang Nan, Zhang Yining, Guo Yue. Loss after loss mounted. The media began calling her Japan's disappointment, a girl who refused to grow up. The pressure was immense. But Ai didn't crumble. Instead of running from the challenge, she chose to face it head-on in China. She learned the language, trained in the most ruthless environment possible. She threw herself into the heart of table tennis, a world that respected neither fame nor sentimentality. There, she was not Ai-chan, just another foreigner, a rival, a name that had to earn respect. In training halls full of elite Chinese players, nobody smiled at her. Some mocked her behind her back. Once, after a loss in a friendly match, I overheard someone say in Mandarin, "She's the prodigy they're hyping." That comment stung deeply. It was then that she resolved to learn the language, not out of curiosity, but as armor. At first, it was to protect herself, but slowly, the language became a bridge. She began to understand her rivals, then connect with them. She was no longer Fukuhara from Japan. She was just Ai-chan, part of the training room, part of the family. In China, she learned what true grit meant. what it meant to fight, not with fame, but with heart. It was there that she forged friendships that would last a lifetime, rivals, but also quiet allies. One of them was Ding Ning, who would later cry upon hearing Ai's retirement. They battled fiercely, but off-court they shared ramen and life stories. These human bonds, born from hardship, helped Ai remain soft-hearted in a world that often demanded toughness. And finally, the fruits of her struggle blossomed. At the 2012 London Olympics, Ai Fukuhara, alongside Kasumi Ishikawa and Sayaka Hirano, led the Japanese women's team to a historic silver medal, Japan's first ever Olympic podium in women's table tennis. When Ai cried on the podium, those were no longer the tears of a child. They were the tears of a warrior. 4 years later, at Rio 2016, Ai returned with her team to claim bronze. She had not won any major singles titles like a world championship or Olympic gold. Yet, she remained the most beloved player in Asia, in Japan, China, Korea, and beyond. Why? Because Ai Fukuhara was more than a player. With fluent Chinese, a gentle smile, and sincere sportsmanship, she became a cultural bridge, especially between Japan and China, whose histories were often turbulent. Ai was called Ai-chan by the Chinese people, a rare honor for a foreign athlete. Through her, sport transcended politics. Humanity spoke louder than nationality. But no one lives forever under the spotlight. After Rio, Ai entered a new chapter, marriage. She wed Taiwanese player Chiang Hung-chi. The wedding was like a fairy tale. She stepped away from the court, became a wife, then a mother, roles full of joy and challenge. Many believed she had finally found lasting happiness, but the fairy tale didn't last. The marriage ended in less than 5 years. Rumors flew about infidelity, custody battles, postpartum depression. Japanese and Taiwanese tabloids swarmed. The same media that once adored her now dissected her pain. She chose silence. She disappeared from public view. But no one believed she would ever truly leave table tennis. And indeed, though she no longer competes, Ai remains a quiet force in the sport, as a technical advisor, a youth coach, and an advocate for athletes' mental health, something she herself lacked on her journey. She wrote a book, sharing not just the victories, but the breakdowns, the loneliness, the collapse. She didn't sugarcoat it. She told the truth so that those who came after wouldn't feel alone. In a recent talk, someone asked her, "If you could relive your childhood, would you still choose table tennis?" Ai smiled softly like sunlight after rain and replied, "Absolutely, even knowing the pain, because it made me who I am." Today, Ai Fukuhara still appears, not on court, but in memory. In the hearts of millions of Japanese who grew up with her. She was the first to show that sports isn't just about medals, it's about emotion, about human stories. The little girl who once cried on the court became a woman who stood tall after the storm. A warrior who smiled through tears, a symbol of grace, resilience, and unwavering strength. People may forget the names of champions, but they'll never forget Ai Fukuhara, because she is childhood, she is emotion. She is the living memory of a Japan that always rises after adversity, gentle but unbreakable. And perhaps, deep down, when the Japanese see an old clip of Ai-chan, round cheeks, teary eyes, tiny paddle in hand, they see a piece of themselves, a piece of the past, a piece of a dream, a love that has no name. Thank you for listening to Ping Pong Dreams, where the stories go beyond titles and into the heart of real people. Ai Fukuhara, the girl who once cried on court, still inspires quietly, just as she always has since the very beginning.